Hello, everybody. This is Yoko Taco Treasures, and I know, this is probably not what you guys expect to see on my channel, but I mean, I did the one video defending, or not defending, I guess, grieving Charlie Kirk's loss, and I was thinking about something that my boss had said, and she said that Charlie Kirk is a racist, and I was like, how? I have never heard him say anything racist in, the videos that I saw. And she mentioned how he had mentioned that if the plane he was flying in had a DEI black hire, then he would question if the person was qualified, and I was wondering about that because I had never seen that clip or hear him say that, so I went and looked it up. And I don't know if the statistics he was using were, correct, because, I don't know what he was referencing, he didn't put in the links in the description or anything like that to back up his claims or whatever, but I'm going to essentially try to explain what he was getting at when he was talking to the person, because a lot of the comments were either, obviously saying that he was correct and everything, that he was, were praising him essentially, and the others were saying he was racist. So I was trying to figure out how best to explain that he's not racist, because as far as I know, he's not. And oh, that's the fan blowing the stupid bag. There's a bag hanging somewhere, and the fan is blowing and blowing it around. That was what I was hearing. Anyway, what he was getting at is that DEI hires are not as qualified. Dang it, what am I saying? Are not as qualified as white people, essentially. And that's sometimes the case, sometimes not, obviously. But I think he chose the wrong subject to talk about when it comes to jobs. And yet at the same time, it kind of had a little bit of merit, because if a company is trying to hit a quota for DEI hires and the standards for the job are high, they're going to lower the standards. For example, I was kind of thinking about how to best phrase the example, and I was thinking a lawyer. In order to become a lawyer and be able to practice and represent clients and everything, you have to take a bar exam. And if you don't take the exam, you could still work in a firm, you just can't represent clients. So I was thinking that the example would be two people trying to take the bar exam. One black, one person of color, one white. The person of color, let's say the standard to pass the exam is, I don't know, 90%. I don't know what the actual minimum to pass the bar exam is, so I'm just bear with me on this. I'm just giving an example, essentially. Because obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about this. I'm just trying to give you guys an example of what he was trying to get at, essentially. Essentially, those two take the exam. The standard minimum to pass the exam and be able to practice as a lawyer is, let's say, 90%. The white person hits the minimum standard and is able to pass. The black person does not. Let's say it's 90%. Let's say they hit, 80, 75% or something like that. And instead of, failing the exam like, you're supposed to, the people doing the exam pass them anyway. And that essentially is DEI in a nutshell, because they didn't hit the qualification to be able to represent as a lawyer. And yet they were passed anyway because they're black, essentially. A person of color. That was the only reason, because otherwise, if they were, let's say the reverse is that the white person didn't hit it, and they wouldn't have been passing. That's essentially what Charlie Kirk was getting at, is that I don't think he should have said, not qualified. It's not, underqualified, I should say. And I think he picked the wrong profession to talk about. But because I'm assuming that they have very high standards for hiring pilots, but I think he was using pilot because of all the, I don't know if that was, I need to go back and look at the video. Actually, let me check that real quick. When was this video posted? Because if it was posted like the same day he did the thing, or same day he did the debate, this year I think there was at least 2 plane crashes in this year. And that's too many, essentially. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. I paused it. That was 3 months ago. Okay, so this wasn't too long ago. But I'm assuming he brought up the fact that it was a pilot is because we've had a few too many plane crashes. And from what I've heard, if I'm wrong, let me know, the pilots that were flying the plane were DEI hires. And that's probably why he mentioned it, is because that's how it's looking, essentially. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Be respectful, obviously, because I'm just trying to explain how I think that what he was getting at when he was doing the debate, essentially. But hiring someone that didn't meet the requirements that are set for a reason just because they're a person of color or a woman is not a smart thing to do. Especially when it comes to things like, being a lawyer, being a doctor. There's a reason that they have the standards set for the requirements that they have, essentially. Because you need the best of the best in order to do things like fly planes, do surgery, represent the justice system. They definitely need the best of the best. And it shouldn't be based on race or DEI. DEI shouldn't even be a thing, because it should be based on the hard work of the people who do it, and the ones that qualify should get the jobs. That's how it should be, obviously. But obviously we know that's not always going to be the case, because that doesn't always happen. And it's not DEI that's the main cause of this, because DEI wasn't brought up until sometime in the 2000s, essentially. Or, in the past 20 years, essentially, is when it was really brought up that I've heard about DEI. But, yeah, the ones who are qualified should get the jobs and should be hired to do the jobs they're supposed to do. So, what he's saying is that DEI is not helping anybody. In fact, it can cause more harm if the person isn't as qualified as they need to be. And they're only hired because the company needs to hit a quota of hiring people of color or women, essentially. I don't care whether the person, let's say a doctor. I don't care whether the person operating on me is a woman, a person of color, a man. I don't care, as long as they are qualified and they know what they're doing. Now, I'm not, just like Charlie said, I don't want someone doing all that stuff that isn't qualified and they only got hired for the job because of their skin color or their gender. It should be based on their abilities, their experience, and all that, instead of, race motivated or gender motivated, essentially. Heck, I don't care, like I said. Anyway, if you guys want to, add on to that, go ahead. If you want to correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, like I said, I don't know anything about being a lawyer. I'm just I know they have to take a bar exam in order to be able to practice. So I was using that as an example. So like I said, if you want to add on to it, debate me, correct me, whatever, just be respectful in the comments. I just wanted to get this out because I was and actually I can probably if you guys want, I have another thing I would have asked Charlie Kirk if I had been able to. I was kind of thinking about this in the shower and it came up. I was like, I wonder what he would have said, to be honest. And if he actually has had this question pop up, if you want me to make a video on this, let me know, and I'll post the question. Because I wanted an answer. I really did. Anyway, I figured I'd say something because, that video, the people who were saying he was a racist really got under my skin because, as far as I know, he's not. Now, he might have chosen the wrong thing to talk about when it comes to proving that DEI is, well, not a good thing, obviously. And if anybody knows where he got his statistics from, let me know. I'd like to see. Because that's part of why people were saying that he's racist, because he was making up the statistics. Now, that's partially because he probably didn't link to them. He should have, but what he should do if he's going to post those videos is he should have linked to whatever statistics he was mentioning in the video so people could look it up for themselves. You know? Whatever. It's either here or there. You can't really do it now. Anyway, let me know what you guys say in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.